although we're asking for a few things different, it's a hell of a week coming up now. I mean, Eintracht Frankfurt away, Brentford away. I mean, let's be honest, those are two well-coached sides, if you know your Bundesliga and obviously what we see in the Premier League. This sounds terrible to say, but because they are well-coached and they're well-established systems, them two teams are licking their lips right now, aren't they?
Yeah, you've got to say it's a little bit of, these look like tough games. I mean, two back-to-back away games, of course, so that's difficult. Liverpool haven't looked particularly good on the road. I mean, it is kind of mad, actually, when you think about it. It's kind of 3 away games on the bounce, 1 home game, and then 2 away games again on the bounce. They're in the midst of a really tough run and playing poorly on top of it. So these are going to be really, really tricky ones. And I think with Frankfurt, you'd say, obviously, they're not in great form this season. They are conceding goals, which is encouraging for Liverpool. Given Liverpool can't seemingly hit a cow's backside with the banjo at the moment. Hopefully, this is the game where it starts to come in, and it seemingly they will get chances. But the atmosphere over there is going to be good, and it's going to be a tricky one. But and then you follow that up with Brentford, which has always been a tricky one away from home for Liverpool as well. And their long throws and set pieces and everything that they bring to the party, all the things that Liverpool don't kind of like. It just looks a really tough week, doesn't it?
I was going to ask you about this because I don't think we've had any updates. We might get it tomorrow from Arne Slot. It could get even tougher because we're still waiting on news for Ryan Gravenberch, aren't we? He limped off in this one.
Yeah, hopefully nothing too bad. Obviously, he managed to play on with it a bit. It's just a tight turnaround, but you always think, if he can't play, who's the direct replacement for him in that squad? And if McAllister was in form, you think, he can do a job for a few games. Absolutely, he's more than capable of doing that. But he's not in form. He's not even close to in form, is he? So that would be a real concern for Liverpool, you'd have to say. So. Yeah, no update really to kind of give on that. Just fingers crossed. I think they'll be fit for these.
Yeah, you have to really pray. And I suppose it's weird because Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, not the greatest at the moment, but they absolutely pumped Galatasaray, didn't they? In that first game, it was 5-1 overall. So kind of mixed. Like, is maybe an escape to Europe beneficial or the worst thing?
Yeah, we'll see. Ask me in full time, mate. I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's this is it. I think there's going to be chances there for Liverpool, isn't there? By the looks of kind of they are struggling defensively this season, so that is encouraging. And Liverpool, for all the weaknesses we talked about, they're still creating chances. I mean, it's mad really that they struggle so much to get the ball into the final third safely, and yet they're creating kind of 2.5 expected goals a game. So if you keep that up, the finishing's going to level out. It's going to sort itself out. Your big worry is that can they keep a clean sheet or even just concede 1 goal, at the moment. That's the big worry. So, I keep going into every game thinking the click's going to come. Maybe it's this week. Maybe it's the next game or whatever. Maybe this week's the one. We don't know, but it needs to be certainly defensively at least. And I think the attack thing will kind of fix itself eventually, won't it? Because they are creating chances and they've got real quality players on the pitch as well. So I'm sure the goals will come. Hopefully, it can come with a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, but fingers in everything crossed. I mean, you don't want to be thinking about this, but you have to look at the pattern we're seeing at the moment. We've lost to Galatasaray. I mean, if it's not the result we won in Germany, there's actually real pressure on Liverpool qualifying because top 8 is obviously where you won. And obviously, I'm not saying first makes much of a difference anyway now, but if you're in that second bed of, up to 16, it's a 2-legged playoff, isn't it, as well? So if they don't, a bad result, there's pressure on us.
Yeah, this is why it was kind of a disaster to lose to Galatasaray in a game you should not be losing, because you were immediately then under pressure in terms of the group, really, and ensuring you don't end up in that playoff, because that would be really unhelpful to be in that. And it's why kind of after yesterday's game, when I was doing my post-match, was saying, if these results continue, if the performances continue, you could talk about turnover, the mitigating circumstances around this season, but it's going to be very, very soon that you start to say, Liverpool aren't going to win anything this season, because it's so easy to, you can't win the title in October, you can't win the Champions League in October, but you can put yourself out of it. You can be end up 6 or 7 points behind Arsenal. You can end up putting yourself in that kind of two-legged thing and not playing well in the Champions League, and then you're fighting to salvage it. It's very, very easy to lose control this season. So that's why it's so important they start putting performances in and getting results as well. So that absolutely has to happen. They need a win, and they need that need is even greater now off the back of 4 defeats. The serious questions are going to start to be asked if they keep losing games at the end of the day.
And I suppose with that phrase in serious, with that in mind and everything we've talked about, is your gut telling you there will be serious changes for this? Because, Mo Salah did come off at the end, but you wonder, are we going to see another Chelsea lineup for persistence or players in that we want? What are you thinking for this one?
I think you're surely going to see Wirtz and Ekitike start this one. I'd be amazed if you don't, to be honest. I think maybe some of the thinking there is, look, they're coming up against German opposition. They know what they're about. They've thrived in that league. So let's see if we can get them into that game and get a really good performance out of both of them. So I would expect those two at a minimum to be the changes. But I'm sure there'll be other tweaks elsewhere. We'll see on Gravenberch. I don't want to see Alexis McAllister anywhere near this one, to be honest. So, you talk. I'd like to see kind of 3 changes at a minimum, and we'll see about it beyond that, really.
Yeah, just a response of some sort. And then we'll flip forward to Saturday night. Keith Andrews and Brentford will just be saying, win set pieces, get it in the box, we'll be sound, lads. That'll be their team talk, essentially, won't it?
Yep, because that's an easy way to beat Liverpool at the moment. So, Liverpool have got to... The thing is, what's frustrating is that Liverpool have had games where they defended set pieces really well this season.
Yeah.
You think of the Arsenal game, they didn't really look flustered at all. I don't think Arsenal really created much from set pieces in that game. And, a lot of the other games, really, they've been absolutely fine from set pieces, but they've just had games where they've not been very good at all. So, they need to have one of the better ones against Brentford. They need to be really sharp on that. And that, it's very, very interesting to me how much Slot is mentioned in his press conference and mentioned, post-match press conference, mentioned in his pre-match press conference, not just in the open section, but in the embargo as well. Banging on about set pieces. And you just start to wonder, the amount he's mentioning it, is there a little bit of pressure there on Aaron Briggs? Maybe I wonder. He can't be happy, and he isn't happy. I can tell that they're still conceding set pieces, and they are just not scoring from them either. So, you don't have to be Arsenal level, but you can't justify being as bad as Liverpool are from set pieces. They're conceding them at a rate they shouldn't be, and they aren't scoring them at all. And if you've got a dedicated set piece coach, that isn't good enough at all. So. They have to work that out. Liverpool, everybody else in the Premier League is getting these free goals from set pieces, and Liverpool just aren't. They're giving them away. It's an easy way to set about losing games in the Premier League, particularly with how much focus there is on set pieces at the moment. Like I say, you don't have to be Stoke, you don't have to be experts at them. Just stop being absolutely awful would be a really good start, and a sense that Slot is feeling like that as well.
Yeah, as a set piece, you're right. You just keep getting to mention it, and I suppose for these two as well, it's never as simple or as complex as this. But the big thing when I'm watching at the moment that I keep asking, WhatsApp you, what is the actual plan here? What are we trying to achieve? Where's the positional play? Where's the build-up? How are we trying to progress it? All these things. We are really looking for these 2 games, even if it doesn't work out perfectly. We want to be able to say, right, I get what he's trying to do. Okay, maybe he's moved someone deeper. We need to kind of see that in this too, don't we?
Yeah, there have been moments, and I think, again, we've got to stress, haven't we? Not every moment of every game has been absolutely dreadful, and I do feel like that's, there's all this talk about the late winners early in the season and Liverpool getting away with it. There were loads of good aspects about those performances, I thought, that are being swept away by the fact that the results and performances haven't been great recently. We can't forget that some aspects have been good, but how long do we have to wait now till we start to see kind of consistently good performances and performances you can get behind? Not even if the results are poor, but because results can be poor at times, and you didn't always get the result you wanted last season, but the performances were generally there. and they're just not there at the moment. So, you just need to see something slightly more convincing. But you also need to just see the result as well, because you cannot keep losing. You can't keep losing. You can't be Liverpool manager and lose 6-7 on the bounce. That's not feasible. So you need to start winning some games as well. And, the two go hand in hand. If Liverpool start performing better, they'll start to win more games. So, that needs to start happening now, really.
It does need to start happening now. And people have different definitions, and people will talk about others overreacting. But if it's bad results, 6 on the bounce, it's pretty hard to hide away from calling it anything else but a crisis. A blip doesn't cover 6 on the bounce, does it?
Yeah, no, I don't care who you are. No Liverpool manager can be losing that many games on the bounce, and there won't be the mitigating circumstances that Klopp had of kind of when he lost the 6 home games on the bounce, but no crowds in, injuries like you wouldn't believe. He's putting in kids at centre half, so you could totally accept that it's very, very possible at the elite level to lose games when that's happening to you. Slot doesn't have that, so there's been mitigation in some of these games. There's been, you can see maybe a bit of misfortune in moments, but that only goes so far. You got to start performing and start winning at some point. So, I'm not saying slot out or, God, we've got to ask questions of the manager or anything like that. But if you start getting to 6 or 7 defeats on the bounce, you definitely get into that territory, because it's Liverpool Football Club with all the talent they've got on the pitch. Even, you should be winning the odd one by just getting lucky at times. So, they can't continue to lose without it getting to the point where you start questioning things. But obviously, we aren't there yet.
We aren't. It does feel a big week. And I suppose the final bit I wanted to ask you, because timing's everything in football. It just so happened that the Stephen Bartlett and Jurgen Klopp interview dropped this morning. We all knew it was coming, didn't we? And the quotes that have been serialised. I don't know about you. I mean, I've watched it. I've seen the quotes. Was there anything really that juicy or unexpected that came out? I didn't really when you sort of think, I'm watching a man I adore and I'm listening to what he says, I'm intrigued, I'm hanging on every word. And at 303 hours, just a shrug like Alan Partridge almost a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've not listened to it. I'm kind of, I've seen a lot of the quotes and the best bits kind of thing. I just refuse to listen to Stephen Bartlett, to be honest. So I've not put the time into listening to it. But yeah, I don't think I will judge him by the bits I've seen, because it doesn't seem like he gave anything new away. I thought the potential for the kind of juiciest part we might hear was maybe what he said about Michael Edwards, but he kind of took a really civil stance on that, really, and didn't give too much away, did he? So I think that speaks to Jurgen being a class act as well. So probably the right decision not to kind of cause a war or say there was any discord there, although I think we all know there's a little bit, albeit that's the nature of working in sport as well, by the way. It shouldn't be overblown that they were worst enemies or anything, but he didn't give too much away, did he? And a lot of kind of stories and things we know of and have heard about before, really. So I maybe thought there was going to be more in there myself. I'll admit that.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't. If you haven't watched it, we didn't really do a good job of advertising that. But yeah, we'll leave it into it if you want to make that decision. And final one's a 2-part, and you're going to shout at me afterwards for that, but we'll deal with that afterwards. This game coming up, you can pick the lineup and you can pick the setup as well. What are you picking in the changing room? What are you telling them?
So in terms of the 11, I think. God, I mean, there is. I really want to keep picking the same back five and saying that just surely there's some way to kind of coach that build up into not being as bad as it is at the moment. I don't believe they were so reliant on getting a ball playing centre half, because if they were, why didn't they solve this? So for continuity, I think the same back four, I'm kind of happy with that. I know people said Frimpong played well when he came on, and he did, but just trying to get Bradley somewhere. I think Frimpong's a good sub. I think he will get his games, and I'm just trying to get continuity, as I say. In midfield, hopefully Gravenberg's fit. I will put Szoboszlai and Wirtz alongside him, because I think I've said before, that's the midfield that played against Atletico, which was probably the best performance of the season so far. So, and I think Wirtz has looked bright when he's come on. So just ride that wave, and you've got to get him there. And then the front line, goodness me. I mean, I would happily see Chiesa start on the right-hand side, give Mo a rest,
Yeah.
see a bit more of Chiesa. I think Ekitike's got to start this one in the centre forward role, and then on the left, you've probably got to go with Gakpo. And again, he's not in the best of form, but he scored 2 in 2. He scored while he was on international duty, and hopefully he won't miss a chance as big as that one that he did miss it against United ever again. So, but yeah, it's tough to pick a team, isn't it? When it kind of feels like the whole team, the whole squad's not really in form, but it's got to turn at some point, surely.
Yeah, I think Yanis and others are putting it there. I would have, being honest, I'd have Salah and McAllister straight out of the lineup, and obviously I know all those players, but you just can't make a case to keep them. And as you said, Ekitike's got to come back in. The fullbacks, I won't mind giving Frimpong something a bit different, even just that electric pace to try and give something. Chiesa, Curtis Jones, if he's not in one of these starting lineups, should be banging on the manager's door, on Sunday morning or whatever, surely. But it's got to change in some way. And
yeah, sorry, I'm probably harsh on Curtis Jones not putting him in, really, especially after I said about he's absolutely deserving to be in there. So yeah, I mean, particularly if Gravenberg's not fit, maybe you go with the Jones, Szoboszlai, Wirtz there. But you're right, Jones. He probably should be. He's got to be in the team, really, for me, actually. I've made a mistake there in not putting him in. He absolutely deserves to be. And as you say, I think Chiesa's probably in that sort of set. And yeah, I wouldn't be against Frimpong either. I think you're right to say that. I think he probably does deserve his chance. I'm just thinking maybe continuity of the back line, but even then, he's just like, well, something's got to change. Something's got to make it better. They've got to find a way of making this work because it isn't at the moment. So maybe Frimpong will help in some way.
And even then, as we're talking, it's still, I think so many people want to see, as much as Isak's struggling, Ekitike and Isak together, because that did look quite nice for a period as well. But you can't start all these players, as we're going to have 6 in attack, as we said, like this game as well at Chaos. So
I'm sure they will by the end of the second half, to be honest.
They will, yeah. Szoboszlai right back, yeah. Gravenberg's fit, he'll be centre half. We'll have to see, won't we? There we go. Well, there we go, people. There is 1,000,001 things to talk about. There is 1,000,001 things for Arne Slot to talk. Thank you for all your comments in the chat panel. Hopefully you found this cathartic. There wasn't too much madness going on there. Hopefully we see a result on Wednesday. All it leaves me to say, as ever, for answering all the questions, going through it in depth, is much appreciated as ever, David.
No, thank you very much. I feel better after that one. Nice to talk it out.
Indeed. And ladies and gents, on Monday, the 20th of October, that was a Media Matters for Anfield Index.